Well, I can tell we're almost at the end of another work week because it's another scandal for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. What a day it's been for news. And of course, another distraction slash scandal has been put in place for the Justin Trudeau Liberals. And is it really any surprise at this point what we're seeing? Because when you look at what was happening in the Ukraine, and a lot of people say, well, it's just a distraction from everything Trudeau's doing. And when you hear about other things going on with Trudeau, anytime like he's been caught, singing Bohemian Rhapsody for the Queen's funeral, well, that's just a distraction. The India thing was a distraction because it's taking our eyes off of what's happening. And if you look at what's happened this week, and again, I am not saying that what's happening over in the Middle East is because of Justin Trudeau, but rather it's being used as a distraction now that the news is full with those stories that some news has come out today in Parliament. And honestly, without the help of one of my viewers, um, I had no idea was even happening because I'm focusing on everything that's going on in the world. So it just goes to show you just how much certain events are being buried over top of war news in the media. But of course, there's a video that I wanted to touch on here, and then we're going to discuss it from Larry Brock of the Conservative Party. Larry Brock, of course, one of the sitting conservatives in Parliament, was talking a lot today about the current scam that's going on with the ArriveCan app and the inquiry into the costs for the ArriveCan app. And I'm going to play what Larry has to say, and then we're going to discuss.
You won't believe what the Liberal NDP coalition government just did. Breaking news. The Public Accounts Committee called an emergency meeting with the Auditor General of Canada to update Canadians on her audit into the $54 million ArriveCan app boondoggle. This meeting was called after we learned that the RCMP is now investigating criminality into contracts awarded under the ArriveCan app. The Liberal NDP government shut down the Auditor General's testimony after just 30 minutes of a scheduled 2-hour meeting. The evidence we heard was damning, and the coalition partners voted to cover it up and shut it down. We now know that the government officials lied before parliamentary hearings into the $54 million app. We have serious allegations of fraudulent contract practices that are a cause of grave concern. Today was the first step into a lengthy process to expose the corruption and find out how it is even possible for an app to cost taxpayers $54 million. This is the NDP Liberal government at its absolute worst. They laughed in the face of taxpayers being on the hook for $54 million. They laughed in the face of government officials lying before a committee investigation. And they laughed in the face of potential criminal contracting practices. It was a Conservative motion in the House of Commons that got the Auditor General to investigate the $54 million ArriveCan app. And we will not stop until all wrongdoing and abuse of taxpayer money is exposed. Now more than ever, it's clear the NDP Liberal government is simply not worth the cost.
So again, kind of a promotional message from Larry Brock in terms of why we should be looking at the Conservative Party into the next election. And I think most people, at least according to Nanos polls and stats around different news outlets, are considering the Conservative Party. And it's looking more and more likely every day that you can almost indefinitely say at this point that Pierre Poilievre is well on his way to becoming the next Prime Minister of Canada. Now, this scandal has been ongoing, and this isn't new news to anybody because we've been told for quite some time the cost of this app, how useless this app was, and we've even seen in some instances where people with very low levels of experience were able to redo the app or re-encode the app themselves for less than the cost of a cart of groceries these days. So the questions have always been around as to why $54 million. And again, when you look at Trudeau's recent expense scandals with his ski trip to Montana, jet setting all around the world, being what Pierre Poilievre dubs as the carbon king, as he basically is just vacation, 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 touring the world on the taxpayer's dime. It's of no surprise that he's awarding $54 million to his buddies somewhere to do these kind of projects. However, shutting down the debate 30 minutes in, or the questioning of the Auditor General, is not within the best interest of the taxpayers. That's very obvious. But we're also seeing that, again, it makes me question with Trudeau's supposed separation from his wife, Sophie. If you recall, we've talked about that separation before, and that there was a clause in the Conflicts of Interest Act that says that because they're separated, she can no longer be misguided under conflicts of interest because she owns, quote, a telecommunications company that is being given contracts from the government. So when Larry talks about damning evidence of money being given out, it makes me wonder, since this communications company was set up last year, if Sophie's company has received any portion of that $54 million. And while I could be way off base with that, what kind of money is Sophie's company going to be procuring in the near future from the Trudeau NDP coalition government? Of course, you see people like Jagmeet Singh come out and they constantly want to barrage grocery store owners and grocery chains and say, hey, they're ripping off people. The prices are too high for people to afford to eat, to live, to do all these things. But what Jagmeet really isn't grasping, and this is where I say, if you're in the BC area, I'm not surprised, or I'm very surprised, I should say, that there aren't thousands of people daily outside of his Burnaby office demanding his resignation. This man alone is propping up Justin Trudeau. So no matter how much he complains, no matter how much he turns around and says that, look what Trudeau's doing, then look what Pierre's doing. Jagmeet Singh is a professional fence sitter and a con artist, because he's essentially running out the clock to get his pension at this point, propping up a damning government that's destroying this nation one bit at a time. And when we talk about $54 million in the pursuit of everyone who's struggling right now, just to put it into context, according to the math that I've done, that means that essentially, instead of putting $54 million to an app, you could give $1.4 million to every single Canadian in the country in order to spend the same amount of money. So instead of an app that tracks your movement, that gives data to China, that does all these horrible things at an astronomical price tag that's completely out of this world, and more than ever obvious that the money is going to those people, you could have given $1.4 million to every single Canadian and spent the same amount of money. Now, this again is damning to say the least, and it's disgusting that once again we're seeing another scandal unfold. And again, this news not even being brought to my attention because again, all we're hearing about is Israel Palestine. And again, I'm not saying that isn't horrible, but this is what happens when these kind of things are going on in the media. And with Justin Trudeau's censorship, when it comes to media platforms, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to Google and Meta, and allowing Canadian news to get on there. Well, this is why they want to censor those things, because now that news doesn't get out to you guys, which reminds me as to why it's more important than ever you guys click that subscribe button and join this channel as we're building our small fringe minority into a fringe majority. We're approaching 10,000 subscribers. Huge thank you to everybody who's come out. But by hitting that subscribe button, you're going to be ensured that you're getting this kind of news whenever it drops. And as this unfolds, I will be covering it in the future. Also, just a reminder, folks, as I hope that this video has earned your subscription today, click your bell for notifications, because YouTube's telling me that only about 10% of our subscribers are notified when our videos go live. But also because every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time here on the channel, we do a live stream where I talk about everything that's happened in the last week, everything that's going on in the week coming up, and it's a chance to sit and have Q&A with my community and kind of chat with you guys and unwind after what's usually a very stressful week in terms of the news. So I hope to see some new members out there. I hope to see some new folks in the chat. Make sure you click that subscribe button, like, share, comment. I want to hear your thoughts from you guys. Share this out. Do all the usual YouTube stuff. It helps us in the algorithm. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one.